What's happening, everybody? It's Dealer Destro back at y'all with another video for the channel. And for this video, we're going to be taking a look at some 1/12 Mezco G.I. Joe product. Right here, we've got the Snake Eyes and Timber set. And just from looking at the back of the package, it comes jam-packed with a bonus figure. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, everybody, getting right into the packaging here. You can see that they took the cues from the retro card art. I love throwbacks to stuff like this because they just don't do it like this anymore. So, you know, you've got the explosion behind him. You've got angry Timber leaping out at something. And there's Snake Eyes giving him the hand command to sick balls chopper. All right, I'm turning this thing around. You can see there is way too many accessories. So what do we got? We've got 2 swords, 2 sheaths, 16 interchangeable hands, articulated timber with 2 alternate heads. So 3 heads total. You've got a pistol, Uzi, I guess, blast effects, 2 magazines, grenades out the wazoo, ninja stars out the wazoo. You've got the 2 butterfly knives, which I think is interesting because they don't give him his... Let me think about this. You had Commando, you had this guy, so his V3 head getup with like the tactical goggles. You see the figure comes outfitted with some web gear, etc. And then moving on, I'll just lift this up and bring it in here. So we've got a ninja star throwing hand, a grenade lobbing hand, another knife, 1, 2, 6. I don't know if these are kunai or what, but ninja accessories. Then you get a display stand with, you know, something that pegs in for help with articulation. And then also, interestingly enough, you get his 1, 2, 3 layered weapon that came with his V2. So again, or sorry, V3. Another throwback to the V3. And then one cool thing about this is they make it a point to tell you ages 18 and up, not for kids, intended for adult collectors only. And then here you see that they licensed it out from Hasbro. Nothing really interesting on the sides. You've got the green side here, black side here with the G.I. Joe logo. And I mean, that's pretty much it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's unbox this sucker. Should be noted that you get a little disclaimer from these guys, which is pretty interesting because they say, you know, wide range of poses, blah, 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 high-end collectible, care and consideration, not toys, not meant for kids, ages 18 and up, highly articulated underbody, costume, blah, 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 blah. Clean cloth outfit. Oh, have the ability to pose past the threshold of the cloth outfit. Over posing the figure may stress or damage the outfit, so be aware. I think that's interesting. It's a very interesting heads up, I guess, to give your customer base here. And then you get some instructions on how to manage the, you know, the sword sheath, the knife sheath, and where those things peg onto the actual figure, which is nice of them, I guess. So I guess the first thing we'll take a look at here is, comes with this hand that lobs the grenade. And literally it's just plastic. I think it might be glued or pegged into this hand with this throwing effect. And then you see the grenade, which I think this is like meant to be like smoke coming out of it. You can see the paint difference when I put my hand behind it there. So all in all, pretty neat. We'll take a look at that and how that comes into play when we get into the figure. And then the other one is this hand right here, the throwing hand, the 3-star shuriken throwing hand. You can see these things are pretty well done, in my opinion. And then there's the hand that throws. Yes, the ninja stars. Okay. He also comes with this stand, has this little glossy piece over it, and that's pretty nice. It's got a really shiny finish to it. It's got the G.I. Joe logo. That looks really good. And then you get this arm. I think this is meant for like just doing some crazy maybe air poses and whatnot. And we'll take a look at how that, the armature and the stand fit together as well. Okay, up next, let's look at some of the hands that he comes with. It's crazy because they give it to you in this like clam packaging. So you can take the top off, and then you can see there, I mean, he comes with karate chop hand, gonna maybe punch you, hold the knife hand, strike a pose hand, both sides hands, point at you hand, fist, chucking or clutching the knife, relaxed, maybe petting the wolf hands. So there's a ton of these. We'll see how many we get through when we look at the actual figure. But just know, rest assured, you get your money's worth, and they all look really, really well done. They did not skimp on any of the paint and whatnot. This, I'll just leave it in here. I mean, you kind of get the picture, right? It's 6 grenades. They're all the same. They look really cool. The paint accents on them, really, really well done. And then this is his version 3. I never knew what the hell this thing was that he came with, but he came with this. The butterfly knives, I believe on the OG one, were not removable, but they were on the 25th. And maybe we'll take a look at that. And then he comes with 2 sets of different throwing stars. 1 star with 6 tips, 1 set of stars with 6 tips, 1 set of stars with 4. I don't know the difference. I'm not a ninja guy, but feel free to educate me in the comments here. So he also has these throwing knives. Maybe they're kunai, maybe not. Very reminiscent of like what I would see in Naruto. I don't know if any of y'all ever watched that show, but that's what that reminds me of. All right, and up next, we're gonna do things a little bit different here. So he comes with this sword, which goes with this sheath, which looks really good, by the way. The detail on the handle is very, very intricate. I don't know how good that's showing through. There's some etching in here. The paint on the blade is brilliant. Looks really good. And then this sword, I believe, goes with this sheath, and it collapses in there like so. And then on the back of this guy here, which I've already taken the liberty of putting his knife in, but what you can do is you can just, clip that in right there, and then it sits on his back with no problem. No problem at all. And then we've also got his other sword. That's what it looks like. Looks amazing. The details along the blade there look really, really well done. The handle is finished off in like a gloss black, and that looks really good. They switched it up a little bit here. They gave this sheath for this sword, and it plugs in like so, no problem. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know what the purpose of having this stuff exposed is, but you can kind of you can see the blade, making its way through the unit there, and that looks really, really good. It plugs in his back the same way as the other sword. And then we've got the standard issue pistol. And man, let me see how close I can get in without this thing getting temperamental on me, but I mean, look at that. The detailing on this unit is, I mean, this thing's flavor. This looks like a real gun. Like a real gun. And then turning it around to the other side, same thing there. You see the details on the grip. Should also be noted, the magazine does eject out, has that one bullet there on the top, which adds great level of detail. And then again, each gun comes with 2 magazine accessories. One comes inserted, and then you get an extra one in the thing here. So I dumped them out, but there's 2, and then the others will come already inserted in the gun. So up next, we've got his traditional Uzi, and this thing is, again, the sculpting, the gloss paint. So this is a combination of flat and gloss paint, and it looks rad. They even put the paint details on where you could clip it on where it would clip onto his web gear. And this thing, it really pops. It really pops. So it should be noted, the silencer does detach. It goes in there via this peg. Again, the magazine comes out. You've got the one bullet there, and that looks amazing. And then one thing that I really appreciate about this unit right here is they gave it, I think they actually made this thing, yeah, there it goes, functional. So the tactical stock is functional on this thing. And man, I hope, Lenny, I hope you guys are taking notes, because this y'all are missing really good opportunities to incorporate stuff like this in the classified line. Anyway, I know it's not classified, but that's where most of my time gets spent. Then he comes with, once again, the 2 butterfly knives that you would see on the V2, and I believe they were like crossed on his chest like this. And these look absolutely stunning. The silver paint finish on them, remarkable. The black on the handles here, just wow. These are probably some of my favorite accessories that he comes with, I think, up to this point. And then last, but certainly never least, comes with this blast effect here, and you can pop it in via the peg. I'm going to do it very gently, and then you can have him actually shooting. And it's cool because if you look there, it's got a bullet sculpted. So like it's actually shooting the projectile, which is, that's just crazy to me. Crazy, 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 crazy. But I love it. I love it. Also should be noted, the paint around the barrel here, where it sits inside the unit and up here as well, again, it's these little things that if you do it right, it makes all the difference. And in this case, I would argue that less is certainly more. All right, I know I said that the blast effect was last, but I realized we did not look at his knife. So it comes in this sheath, it pegs into the back of his belt, and that's what that looks like. Again, really, really well done. The details on the blade, the details on the handle, the hilt there, it's just, I love to see this stuff. This actually might be one of my favorite figures so far for the year. I mean, even though Snake Eyes has been done over and over and over. Up next, we can start out with good old Timber, and he's pretty sizable. I mean, that's the palm of my hand. I've got fairly, I don't know, above average size hands. So, hand for scale, it's a pretty big unit. And the paint on him is pretty top notch as well. You see up here, he's got the gray. And then throughout, you can, I don't know how well it's shown through on the camera, but he's got this light ash, like white on the tips of the fur throughout, and then blends down into a light gray here, coming down to eventually what I'm guessing is white. And this is sick. This is sick. So, articulation wise, the legs, they have a lot of articulation to them for, an extra unit that's included. So it's pretty rad. And then looking at the bottom, you can see that they even paid attention to the detail there. And the way that that's sculpted is really nice. It's really, really nice. And then on the front here, you can see they painted the claws on, which I think makes sense. I think that makes sense. And then looking at the head sculpt here, holy moly. Look at those eyes. The paint on the eyes, the paint on the nose, on the inside of the mouth. This guy just looks so menacing. So absolutely menacing. I love this. And then for articulation on the head, you don't get much, right? He can, he'll wrangle a Cobra Trooper, maybe even a Cobra higher ranking official, and you get like a little bit side to side, but not really, which, it's okay. It's okay, because again, this isn't really the focus of the set. It's certainly going to have a presence on the shelf next to Snake Eyes. And this is, it looks great. It looks absolutely amazing. And again, you can get some pretty dynamic poses out of it. All right, and lastly, so he comes with 2 other head profiles. So let's take a look at those real quick. You just pop that off right there at this peg, and then you can insert the other one. This is a more calm, relaxed face. You can see that the paint, again, just the paint on this thing is insane. Insane how good that looks. And then the last head is sort of the snarling, but the ears are down. He's probably gonna make a move on you. Maybe he's waiting for Snake Eyes to give the formal order. I wouldn't want to be face to face with this guy at all, under any circumstances. And then look at, I don't know, let me see how much closer I can get in there. Look at the teeth on that. That is just crazy how good that looks. Just absolutely bonkers. So technically, I guess that rounds out the accessories. We'll come right back and we'll get into the main figure. Okay, moment of truth here. So this is the product offering. This is what you can expect. And here's what I'll tell you. He's a hair taller than classified. And the overall look, I think, is really impressive. The way that they made this visor really pop is nothing short of remarkable. And then you see here in his helmet, right, he's got more line work that they've accounted for like detail wise. And then you see he actually has like a, like a jaw piece. No lips. I know that was there was like a lot of blowback when the movie came out, first movie anyway, and he had lips, but nope, no lips. And then the neck is also, I mean, it just looks like he's wearing a full-on like battle suit. And then the pleather / like leather finish along the top part here is really, really well done. And then here you can kind of see that, like, maybe this is where he squeezes into that, like, hey, Scarlett, why don't you button me up? And then the cloth, right? So it transitions from this really well done, like, pleather / leather down to this fabric. And it what impresses me about this is the way that they still can show the structure underneath the figure, or actually of the figure underneath this cloth. Like, it's not lost, and he still looks, I mean, you can still see like his muscle outline here. Superb. He's got the classic web gear with the grenades affixed to it, and again, those look great as well. The buttons on here, they have like little silver accents where it all kind of, pegs together to really make it pop. And again, it's these little things like this that help stand out, because again, he's one color, right? He's one color. But again, just those little extra subtleties really help it pop. And then you can see here he's got his web gear belt with all of his, various ammo pouches. Perhaps that's where he keeps his ninja stars. And then his gun holster here, this is actually pretty cool. You have to undo this, and then the pistol will slot right in. And then you can bring the clip over and peg that, and then it holds just like that. And then again, more pouches on the leg. The fabric, again, just it has a very, very lovely feel to it. There's something very satisfying about like seeing the cloth and all that stuff. And then moving down, he's got his shin guards, and you can kind of see where they put gloss paint to break some of this up. And it does. It really, really does help. So he's got gloss finish along the bottom of his boots there. And yep, they carried it like all the way through to the bottom, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, this is top tier. It feels good. It looks phenomenal. I love that they, tampoed the Arashikage sign on there, and it is clean. Clean. Not one bit of bleed over on this. It's probably some of the cleanest work I've seen, actually, throughout this figure. I mean, I'm assuming these things were like hand painted and they didn't miss anything. And then looking at the hands here too, you see where they apply some of the gloss paint on the knuckles to just kind of break it up. And they do a really good job. It does a really, really good job. So, articulation wise, I mean, again, despite the, the warning on the thing, right? Like you can feel where you're going to get, where you're going to run into some problems. Like you see right here, when you bend this, it creates the crease in the fold. I don't know, maybe that might not hold up over the long term, because I have some friends who are familiar with this line. And when I told them that I was ordering this, they just said, hey, listen, be careful with how you pose it on the shelf, because I guess they got some of the Marvel ones. And what they've said is over time, when you leave these dynamic poses up, the cloth will start to deteriorate and you'll start to see the figure underneath come through. So just something, I guess, to be mindful of. But again, does not take away from the superiority of just the look, the feel. He's got a waist swivel. He's got a little bit of an ab crunch. He's going to look every which way. No problem. Let me see, does he get, gets a little bit of up, gets a little bit of down. And then, for the arms, I feel like right now this feels good. And there's the stitch seam right there. Right now this feels good. But again, like I said, over time, you probably just want to be careful, but like you're going to get whatever pose you want. The waist swivel's a little tricky, because this feels like this might be, I don't know if this is 1 or 2 pieces or not. I'm not brave enough to risk finding out. But yeah, and then the leg articulation, the joints on here feel really good. And I mean, look at that. What a difference, the cloth fabric makes for just getting a little bit more of that dynamic. It almost takes care of like how they have to sculpt like the wrinkle folds, into the standard figures. Like this almost kind of takes care of itself as you're posing it. It's gonna look slightly different every time, which is really, really nice. And then his foot articulation, I don't feel like I get much down, a little bit of up, but you do get the side to side and the rotation, the pivot, which is nice. So yeah, so I think you'll be able to achieve, any pose you want within reason. He is certainly going to look good on any shelf, no problem. So with that, let's mess around with the stand and see what kind of fun poses we can get him in. All right, so this stand is pretty badass. No joke. No joke. This thing is, look at this guy. So yeah, I know it probably would have looked cooler with the sword, but I like the fact that Snake Eyes is like a ninja and he don't give a shit. He will use the knives and the burners, and I respect that. You've got characters who have this like moral code written into them, and it's interesting because like he doesn't care. Anyway, so looking at the hand, right? Like that's what come on. And these things here, they're really sharp. They are really, really sharp. So this is just, this is one example of what it could look like. And I guess technically if we wanted the sword in there, we could pop that in like that. And now he's like completely outfitted. And this looks badass. So yeah, I'm sold on the stand stuff. Usually I'm like, I don't know about these stand things, but the fact that it's got, it's got a pivot point here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pivot points, and you could get some pretty dynamic, drastic, dramatic fantastic, spastic poses out of this thing. So I'm gonna come back and we'll see what we can, we'll see how timber integrates with this too. All right, so after futzing around with this for longer than I probably should have, that's as close as I can get to any sort of reasonable posing with these two and using timber in sort of like a lunging position. What happens is the weight of this guy, if you extend the armature too far out, there's not enough leverage on this stand here. So this was like the best I could do. Maybe, I don't know, let's see here. Maybe I could do like, and try to lean him more. There we go. Yeah, lean him a little more on, and then still have, you know, Snake in the background, like, you know, sick 'em. Sick 'em, boys, sick 'em. Sick balls, Chopper. But that, really cool, really neat that they did that. I don't know that I'm going to be using the stand, although I'm halfway tempted to. Also, one thing to note, it had this peg in there for what I'm guessing is the figure, for maybe his foot to peg into. And you have, like, I had to take a pin and pop this out from underneath so that way I could accommodate the armature. So nothing too crazy, just figured I'd call that out. That's what I'm talking about right there. So you just come underneath and pop that sucker out, and then you can affix the armature to the stand like so. All right, we'll come back and we'll do some side-by-side comparisons, of course. All right, so here's what the Mezco timber looks like next to the classified, and you can tell there's a difference height wise. He's beefier. He's beefier, and to scale, I think, my opinion, like to scale. So there's classified Snake right there, or a classified Snake Eyes. This is more what I would expect like a timber wolf to come up to. This is more like German Shepherd, albeit really big German Shepherd. But this, I think, is more properly scaled and in line with this offering type. And then we can, real quick, all right, so here he is with a few of his classified compadres. And you can tell he's got more girth. He's got more girth than these boys right here. Now, you know, ladies will tell you that doesn't really matter. But I don't know, fellas. I don't know. He's pretty beefy. And you can also see that he stands a hair taller than these guys. He's also the best looking as well. So let's see. Best looking, most girth. I think we know who Scarlett's going to be going home with after this video, right, boys? Know what I'm saying? Anyway, jokes aside, this is what he looks like with some of his classified figures, just so you kind of get a sense of overall scale, how it's going to look on the shelf. And we'll be right back with final thoughts. Actually, real quick, I gotta get this out of my system here. So remember how I said it was interesting that he came with these butterfly knives, right, for his V3 offering? I think Mezco may have had a missed opportunity here, because again, you see, this is the version that they're, you know, drawing inspiration from or paying homage to, clearly, right? You can see that. You see the, whatever the hell that thing is. And I'm just going to stand him up on the wall there. And then you also see that they included it here. And this is actually a really freaking cool accessory. I have no idea what it is. It was always a mystery. But yeah, they even used metal rings for it. So I don't know. It's a little strange because I feel like they could have incorporated some web gear to house those blades on the chest, given him a different head profile, and then maybe included the silver arm guards and made, you know, because these, I'm pretty sure those are removable already. Anyway, just something really interesting. And by the way, this guy right here, he is probably one of my all-time favorite figures. And yes, he has battle damage because he's missing a grenade. Whatever. I played the hell out of 25th when they came out. And I mean, like, played with them. Grown-ass man playing with army men. Anyway, we'll come back and then we'll talk final thoughts on this guy. All right, so final thoughts here. I have very, very minimal negative things to say about this. I think the only negative thing that I have to say about this figure, and I think it's probably just the 112 line in general, is just this, right? And it's a bit of a nitpick, I know. But I mean, we're creeping up in the 100, you know, 100, 125, 135, $145 range, depending on what line you collect from this group. So I mean, I guess in all fairness, I can't harp on it too much because cloth does deteriorate. I mean, could you imagine if you had a closet or something, like a room full of these guys, and then like the moths just came in? Oh my God, that'd be a nightmare. Anyway, that aside, I've got nothing but positive things to say about this figure. I think he was what, 115, 120? I think for that, I think you get a lot. I think you get a lot of variety, a lot of playability, a lot of posability. The fact that they included Timber and he's got, you know, not one, but not two, but three different head profiles with him. I mean, they really appreciate the lore, I feel like, anyway. I've got Destro. He's another amazing figure. So would I recommend this at the price point? I would say, yeah, it's a fair buy, 100%. No questions asked. I mean, all the gimmicks with the gun, like the blast effect showing the barrel shooting out. You know, you've got the alternative hands, so you can do whatever posing you want. If you like more commando Snake Eyes, you can go guns blazing. If you like ninja Snake Eyes, you can outfit him with everything a ninja could ever need or want. So with that being said, I hope y'all like the content. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel. There's a ton more in the pipeline. I'm going to have my assistant in for some of these Masters of the Universe videos. We're going to start treading into that, dipping our toes into that and see how it goes. So with that, appreciate everybody tuning in. Take care. Till next time, we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks again.